Right, so you've built the next big thing. Your app's got users, your pitch deck's looking proper slick, and some VC in Shoreditch just agreed to a second meeting. Brilliant. Then they drop a line like this: we'd like to schedule a tech due diligence session. And suddenly, you're having flashbacks to that time you committed API keys to GitHub at 3 a.m. Technical due diligence, aka, let's see if this thing held together with duct tape and prayers. Look, I've sat on both sides of this uncomfortable table as the sweaty founder trying to explain why there's a folder, literally do not touch, and as the technical auditor making notes while trying not to visibly wince. Today, I'm going to tell you exactly what technical investors are actually looking for when they peek under the bonnet of your startup. And spoiler alert, they're not reading every line of the code. Here's the thing that founders often get wrong about technical due diligence. It's not a code review. According to OpenView Partners 2024 survey of venture capital firms, the average technical audit spends just 8 to 12 hours examining the code base, regardless of whether you've got 10,000 or 100,000 lines of code. There's barely enough time to watch an entire series of The Office, let alone understand your elegant microservice architecture. So what are they doing with that time? They're looking for red flags. Massive, unavoidable, this company could implode in 6 months type of red flags. Think of it like viewing a flat in London. The estate agent's not checking if the paint colour complements your sofa, are they? They're looking for damp, dodgy wiring and evidence that the previous tenant might have been running an illegal chicken farm. In my experience, conducting dozens of these kinds of audits and having my own code scrutinized more times than I'd like to admit, technical auditors are really asking 3 fundamental questions. 1, can you actually sell this thing? Or does someone else technically own it? 2, is this software going to get us sued, hacked, or front page news for the wrong reasons? And 3, if your lead developer wins the lottery tomorrow and moves to Bali, will the company spontaneously combust? Let's break down each one, shall we? Red flag number 1, intellectual property ownership. Or in plain English, do you own a thing that you're trying to sell us? This might sound obvious, but you'd be absolutely gobsmacked by how many startups trip up here. According to a 2023 study by Seed Legals, roughly 18% of UK seed stage companies have some form of IP ownership issue that needs resolving before investment can close. Here's where it goes pear-shaped. Scenario 1, the contractor conundrum. You hired a brilliant developer off Upwork in 2022 to build your initial prototype. Smashing work, one problem. You never signed an IP agreement assignment. Under UK copyright law, specifically the Copyright, Designs and Patents Act in 1988, if someone creates work as a contractor, they own the copyright unless there is a written agreement stating otherwise, not you, them. The contractor could theoretically show up and claim that they own a chunk of your company, and they wouldn't even be wrong. The fix: every single person who writes code for your company, employees, contractors, your mate Dave who just helped out for a few weeks, needs to sign an IP assignment agreement, retrospectively if necessary. Scenario 2, the open source oopsie. Right, hands up if you've ever copied code from Stack Overflow or GitHub without checking the license. Yeah, everybody's done it. The problem is, when you've borrowed code that's licensed under something like GPL version 3, according to the GPL version 3 terms, if you incorporate it into your commercial software, your entire code base might need to become open source as well. That's called a copyleft license, and VCs are absolutely terrified of it. A 2024 analysis of White Source found that the average commercial code base contains 49 open source dependencies. That's 49 potential license conflicts you might not even know about. The solution? Run a license audit tool like Fossa, Black Duck, or even GitHub's dependency insights to identify what licenses are lurking in your dependencies. Ideally, you want permissive licenses, MIT, Apache 2.0, BSD. These basically say, use this however you want, just don't blame us if it breaks. Scenario 3, the co-founder who left. You started this company with your university mate. They wrote the first version of the product, then decided startups weren't for them and went to work at Deloitte. You're still friends. It's all lovely. But Did they ever formally assign their IP to the company? If not, technically they still own a part of your code base. And when an investor's lawyer discovers this, your funding round grinds to a spectacular halt, whilst everyone scrambles to track down your former co-founder who's now on a find yourself trip in Thailand. All contributors have signed IP assignment agreements, open source licenses audited and documented, former co-founders IP formally assigned, contractor agreements explicitly transfer copyright. Get these sorted and you've cleared the first major hurdle. Red flag number 2, security basics. Now they're not expecting you to have the cybersecurity setup of GCHQ. You're a startup, not the bloody Ministry of Defense. But there is a baseline level of please don't get us immediately hacked that investors absolutely insist on. According to IBM's 2024 Cost of a Data Breach report, the average cost of a data breach for a UK company is 3.5 million. For a startup that's just raised a couple of million quid, that's not just embarrassing, it's existential. The big 3 security sins. Sin number 1, exposed credentials. Picture this, you're rushing to deploy a feature for a big demo. You hard code an AWS API key into your config file. I'll move it to environment variables tomorrow, you tell yourself. Tomorrow never comes. You commit, you push. Congratulations, you've just published your company's crown jewels to the internet. GitGuardian's 2024 State of Secrets Sprawl report found over 12.8 million new secrets exposed on GitHub in 2023 alone. That's 12.8 million opportunities for someone to rack up a 50k AWS bill on your account or access your production database. The fix is straightforward, but requires some discipline. All secrets go into an environment variables, never in code. Use a secrets manager, AWS Secrets Manager, HashiCorp Vault, or even Doppia for smaller teams. Enable GitHub secret scanning. It's free and it catches this automatically. Rotate any credentials that were exposed, changing your password to password 2 doesn't count. Sin number 2, unencrypted user data. Under the UK GDPR, yes, we kept it after Brexit, you're legally required to implement appropriate technical measures to protect personal data. You know what's definitely not appropriate? Storing passwords in plain text. A 2024 survey by the ICO found that 23% of UK data breaches involved inadequate encryption. These aren't just hypothetical concerns, they're literally illegal. At minimum, investors want to see passwords hashed with a modern algorithm, bcrypt, Argon 2, for the love of God, not MD5. Sensitive data encrypted at rest in your database. HTTPS everywhere, not just on the login page. Regular database backups that are also encrypted. Sin number 3, no basic access controls. Right, here's a fun game. Can any authenticated user in your system access any other user's data just by changing an ID in the URL? This is called an insecure direct object reference, and it's absolutely rampant in early stage startups. The OWASP Top 10, which is basically the security industry's greatest hits of things that will get you hacked, lists broken access control as the number 1 vulnerability in 2024. The technical auditor will spend about 20 minutes poking around your API with different user accounts. If they can access data that they shouldn't or perform actions above their permission level, that's a big red flag with flashing lights and a klaxon. So, security basics checklist. No hard-coded secrets in the code base. Passwords properly hashed, bcrypt or Argon 2. Sensitive data encrypted at rest. HTTPS enabled across entire application. Authorization checks on all sensitive operations, and dependency vulnerabilities regularly scanned. You don't need to be Fort Knox. You just need to demonstrate you're not actively negligent. Red flag number 3, documentation. Or more specifically, if your lead developer gets hit by a boss tomorrow, figuratively speaking we hope, can anyone else figure out how to run this thing? This is what VCs call the bus factor, which is rather grim, but it is accurate. Though in London, given our traffic, it's probably more of a Boris bike factor. Stripe's 2024 developer survey found that poor documentation is responsible for an average of 14 hours of lost productivity per developer a month. Scale that across the team, and you're looking at weeks of wasted time. But more importantly, from an investor's perspective, if all of your technical knowledge lives exclusively in one person's head, you've got a single point of failure that could crater the entire company. The 3 documentation levels investors want to see. Level 1, the README. This should answer 3 basic questions. 1, what does this do? 2, how do I run it locally? And 3, how do I deploy it? If your README is empty or just says to do, add docs, that's an immediate concern. According to GitHub's 2024 Octaverse report, repositories with comprehensive README files receive 3.5 times more contributions than those without. That's because no one wants to wade through your code to figure out how to start the bloody thing. A solid README includes project overview and purpose, prerequisites and dependencies, installation instructions, and how to run tests, basic configuration options, deployment process, contact information for questions, and that's about it. You're not writing War and Peace here. Level 2, the architecture documentation. Right, you do not need a 50-page technical specification, but you should be able to sketch out at a basic level how your system works. Front end, API, database, external services. What are the major components here? How do they talk to each other? Where does data flow to? This is especially critical if you've gone down the microservices route. There's nothing quite like watching a founder try to explain their architecture in real time whilst frantically drawing boxes on a whiteboard, contradicting themselves 3 times. A simple architecture diagram created in something like Miro, Lucid Charts, or even Google Slides is fine. Just have one. Level 3, code comments. Make them good. There's an old programming joke, code should be self-documenting. Kinda rubbish. But there's also an equally valid point. The comments shouldn't just repeat what the code obviously does. A good comment explains why something exists, especially when it's not obvious from the code itself. The real point of documentation, here's what investors are actually testing for. Can your technical knowledge scale beyond your founding team? If you land this funding, you'll be hiring. Those new developers need to get up to speed quickly. If everything's tribal, knowledge passed down through oral tradition, like some sort of coding druid circle, you'll be spending half your runway just onboarding people. Documentation checklist. README. It explains setup and deployment. Architecture documented with diagrams. Critical business logic commented. Deployment runbook exists. Development environment easy to set up. API endpoints documented. The easier you make it for someone new to understand your system, the more confident investors feel about your ability to scale. Right, let's bring this all together. Here's your pre-raise technical checklist. Things you should sort out before the VC sends their technical person around. Intellectual property. IP assignment agreements from all contributors. Open source license audit completed. No GPL or copyleft licenses in critical code. Former team members' IP formally assigned. The security basics. All secrets in environment variables. Passwords properly hashed. User data encrypted at rest. HTTPS everywhere. Authorization checks implemented. Dependencies scanned for vulnerabilities. Documentation. A comprehensive README. Architecture documented. Deployment process documented. Critical code commented. Easy local development setup. Give yourself at least 2 weeks before your first serious investor meeting to work through this list. Some of it, like tracking down former contractors for IP agreements, can take some time. Look, technical due diligence isn't about having perfect code. Your product works, users love it, and that's what matters. But what investors need to know is that you're not building on a foundation of technical debt that will collapse the moment you try to scale. Clean up these 3 areas: IP ownership, security basics, and documentation, and you'll walk into a technical audit with confidence instead of dread. If you found this helpful, smash the subscribe button, or whatever the polite British equivalent is. Gently press it with a respectful nod. Drop a comment if you've been through tech due dil and lived to tell the tale. What surprised you? What caught you off guard? And if you want a review of your Codebase before investors do, there's a link in the description. Until next time, keep your secrets out of GitHub and your IP assignments in order. Cheers.